Okay.
Thank you. And thank you to our two guests tonight to come to our chapter meeting and teach us and enlighten us about Gamers for Peace, a new way of informing and educating younger generations about peace and social justice. It is a pleasure to welcome Garett. Garett, I think this might be your first meeting with our chapter. Thank you for being here. And we've distributed your bio, but again, Garett is Executive Director of National Veterans for Peace, and was in the US military. You had 2 deployments, and will be talking with us tonight, particularly about Gamers for Peace. And Chris Velazquez, Chris, welcome to come to this meeting. I would just mention to you that there's been a lot of discussion over the last couple of years about gamers and an interest in understanding how the program works. And we'll see if maybe some of us elders can get onto the program and learn more about it and be supportive of your efforts and Garett's efforts to bring younger folks and younger veterans into the organization. And again, a special thank you to you both for being here tonight. Garett and Chris.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm gonna just kind of quickly just give some history of where this came from. You know, we were racking our heads pretty hard trying to come up with effective ways to continue our Truth in Recruitment program, the counter-recruitment program through Veterans for Peace. And it was about 2 years ago during our convention. We had a really solid Truth in Recruiting panel. Some great experts were there talking about their activities doing counter-recruitment. And after that, we had some good activity with a working group that included some great allies and, talking about truth in recruiting. And we started realizing how much movement there was by the military to go into online spaces, to multi-gamer spaces and communities, adjacent communities, to do recruiting. And when the pandemic hit, it was a very clear sign that tons of military assets and resources were moving away from physical spaces like high schools and shopping malls where recruiters can do knee-to-knee conversations with kids to these online spaces. And they're engaging, young children, not just at, near adult warfighting age, but much younger, and starting to groom them basically to prepare them to be recruited as they grew older and became closer to the age of 18. Really predatorial kind of tactics where recruiters didn't have to identify themselves as military recruiters in these online spaces until they basically had a kid in a one-on-one conversation. So basically while our, young people are playing video games in their living rooms or in their bedrooms, they're having conversations with military recruiters about joining the military. And, furthermore, we saw a lot of other toxic behavior in these online communities where we saw emerging from things like Gamersgate, 4chan and 8chan discussion circles that were primarily used for extremist recruiting for nationalists and other hate groups. So it was really aware to us that we needed to be in this space and we needed to counter a lot of this rhetoric and see what we could do, especially during a pandemic time, to not only build an online community of people who resisted militarism, but also see what we could do as far as direct action in these spaces. And from that, the idea of Gamers for Peace kind of emerged as our basically flagship Truth in Recruiting campaign and program. And from that initiative, Chris was one of the original, members that was active in the space, helping to build it and really investing a lot of volunteer time into it. And when we were looking for a digital organizer, Chris applied for the position, and it was obvious that Chris was had the passion and the skill set we needed to do the job. So really, I want to hand it over to Chris, because Chris has done such an amazing job of helping to build this community and holding a lot of that work, and knows it far better than I do. So maybe I'll come back in later after Chris is done and kind of discuss some more. So go for it, Chris, and introduce yourself more, because you didn't have a chance to.
Will do. Thanks for that little bit of that introduction right there, and you did a great job explaining the root of Gamers for Peace and gave me some actual new context to what I've been doing for the last year. My name's Chris Velazquez, they pronouns. I am on Lenape land, unceded Lenape land, also known as Philadelphia, PA, just a little south of you. I used to live in New York. I was over in Brooklyn. I still got family in the Bronx. I am the digital organizer on staff with Veterans for Peace. I am also a community coordinator for Gamers for Peace, which I'm here to talk about. I'm a post 9/11 Marine Corps combat vet, having served a tour of Fallujah, Iraq, and then Helmand Province, Afghanistan during the Helmand Province push of 2009. Which was the largest helicopter-borne insert since Vietnam. I was in from 2004 to 2010. Before coming to VFP, I was a national service officer with DAV, helping veterans navigate their veteran benefits through the VA and the VA system as a whole. Gamers for Peace, like Garett was saying, Gamers for Peace is an initiative of the Truth in Recruitment Working Group. We are specifically doing counter-recruitment and GI resistance work in gaming and gaming adjacent spaces, digital, online, hobby spaces where people go and escape the reality of what we face every day, the war, the traumas of war, and the constant disastrous news cycle that we're all living in. We can't even escape it there. So Gamers for Peace sits in this space to help push back on that there. The military, like Garett also said, the military has shifted recruitment focus from being in schools and in-person contact as an initial way of contacting prospective recruits or their targeted demographic to being online in 2018. The Army actually missed its recruiting goal and immediately shifted its focus to its online esports program. The Navy the Navy's 2020 budget, I believe it was spent 93% of its total advertising budget in its online apparatus exclusively, in its digital assets. That was about $34, I believe, $million directly in a space that is relatively still extremely cheap. So instead of focusing on Super Bowl commercials, they are pumping out digital ads, YouTube, and in gaming spaces online with concerted social media presence. And that's where their money is going. Part of the reason that they shifted to this space is the audience that they're able to reach is younger than what they are legally allowed to reach in schools and in-person recruitment. And it's an unsupervised activity space in which there's no adult there to provide context or to dissuade or prevent predatory grooming and recruitment practices. We know that they are specifically targeting under their legal or regulated age of 17 and sometimes 16, which they have previously blown past and very flagrantly done so. We know that they are targeting kids younger. I have a quote here. Quote is, I quote, "I would argue that in looking at these generations, we have to begin thinking about how they would approach this question of where they will apply their talent. We have to confront this question of, will we wait until they're 17 or will we start talking to them at age 12, 13, 14, 15, when they form the set of things that they are thinking about doing with their life?" And that quote is Dr. E. Casey Wardinsky, one of the leading recruitment professionals for the Army, as a spokesperson in Army, in a Vice article. So we know that there is a concerted effort for the military to be present and grooming children and instilling a sense of military fetishization, war glorification in children to put them into the pipeline to justify and open up that door for recruiters to take advantage of the economic draft that many recruits are the catalyst for many people to go into service in the first place. And these efforts aren't just focused on high school age children or younger middle school and elementary school children. These efforts are also targeted at college age students because they are being trained they are in college, specifically learning skill sets that are advantageous to the future warfare efforts. So we see military recruiters approaching college esports teams just as much as they're approaching high school age kids in the classrooms and in lunchrooms. So Gamers for Peace, and to tack on these games and the way the military recruiters are in these gaming adjacent spaces isn't just in military simulation shooters. They're violent video games, first-person shooters. They're playing and targeting kids in games like Rocket League, which is Micro Machines or Hot Wheels, you know, the little Hot Wheel cars. They're rocket-propelled Hot Wheel cars that are playing soccer. We see military recruiters. The Navy has actually a pretty good Rocket League team where they stream nightly playing this game where they are controlling a car and playing soccer that has no military value or representation other than the fact that the person on screen is in uniform. The games like Rocket League, Roblox, which has an audience as far as young as 4-year-olds are playing Roblox, which is essentially digital Legos. That the military gets to be in because it's one of the most popular games in the world, and games like Minecraft, which are directly targeted to children as young as 6 and up to 99, which is another building space that isn't a zero-sum game and has no violent connotation unless people build it into it. But we see recruiters being in these spaces and occupying and addressing kids with the intention of essentially saying, you can join the military and play video games for the military. And we all know that's not what happens in the actual military. We know that these are actual recruiters that are trained and utilizing techniques that have been perfected to groom and lead people into this military pipeline. So with that, Gamers for Peace is born out of the Truth in Recruitment initiative, or it's an initiative of the Truth in Recruitment Working Group. We in Gamers for Peace are gamers, we're veterans, we're allies, we're accomplices, we're VFP members, both veteran members and associate members. We are everyone that is concerned about the digital aspect of recruiting that the military has long been shifting into. They're shifting in this focus because of the reach they have to their target demographic and the results they see. And because they're also looking at the skill set for what future warfare has. I can tell you that back before I was in high school, before I went into the Marine Corps in 2004, I was in middle school and I was learning C+ and Visual Basic and programming languages. And that was in 99. I'm showing my age. I'm 36 here. So in 99, 2000, I am learning basic computer programming skills. Nowadays, technology is so pervasive that kindergartners are using the same programs that I'm playing the same games, using programming language, and are developing social networks utilizing these digital platforms that fourth generational warfare, drone warfare, cyber warfare are all operating and need the skills of. So there's an added bonus for the military to be specifically recruiting in these gaming spaces. Because half the training is already done. Children already have a developed skill set that can quickly be used to be and weaponized or implemented and added into a system that just gets reinforced in the hierarchy and the traumatizing nature of boot camp and the process of what the military does to our youth. So the military has every reason to be in gaming spaces and outside of schools or outside of person-to-person meetings, other than when to drive a kid to MEPS to get them into DEP, the delayed entry program. Gamers for Peace has a firm belief that in order to achieve a world where war no longer exists, because we truly do believe peace is possible, we must deprive the military of its resources. And the only way to do that is by affecting the pocketbooks and the financial resources that the military has and the human resources. So we concentrate on what we can do, which is developing tactics and organizing efforts to affect the ability of the military to consume the resources that is the youth of the world. We refuse to see another generation of veterans and those that are traumatized by war. for me, that's my whole reason for being in Veterans for Peace. Like Garett mentioned, I came into Veterans for Peace after 10 years of being out of the military. And I came in through Gamers for Peace because this was a thing that concerned me, was the games that I was playing in, dealing with recruiters, dealing with the toxic culture that exists inside gaming, that the military harvests it and takes it. Before I keep going, I have a couple articles here. Give you an example of the history of the military. So the Army can't recruit enough soldiers, and it may start talking to kids as young as 12. If this website would like to page down for me, for some reason it does not want to. We can see a picture here of the Army esports team, where they are at a gaming convention in their uniform, which is esports jersey, very similar to the Gamers for Peace hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Where they have just probably finished playing games with these kids and are sitting there uplifting and propagandizing the video games. The quote that I mentioned earlier, actually, I believe comes from this article itself. And there's a plethora of other quotes that I could just produce that all really convey the effort that the military is putting into being in these spaces. Historically, the Army, when it first integrated or started its esports and Twitch online platform, by the way, before I continue, show of hands, who knows and understands what Twitch is? I see Garett. All right. So I see Ellen. Thank you, Ellen. Awesome. Garett. Okay, so Twitch is an online public broadcast TV station. It is a website that is exclusively focused on content creators like myself and the people in Gamers for Peace to create a channel and have people tune into our live broadcasts, to live stream. It's born out of a gaming community and people watching others play video games so they can learn how to beat hard things and develop community around our interests and hobbies. So the military has the Army esports team, the Navy esports team, the Marine Corps esports teams, individual recruiters, individual service members, all have Twitch channels and YouTube live channels and Facebook live channels where they go online and they are live streaming. Exactly what you're experiencing right now is what a child experiences from a hands-on recruiter. With my setup currently, how I was able to shift my screen between what you see now and this, I can easily launch a video game right now and have the setup for you to watch me play a video game and continue this conversation uninterrupted while I talk to you about the efforts the military goes through to recruit children. I can be playing a video game. I can go live right this moment to our Twitch channel, have an audience full of high schoolers and talk about this while playing a video game. And that is what the military takes advantage of. Gamers for Peace, our Twitch channel, is essentially a public broadcast channel. It is our own TV network for us to produce content when and how we want to. And our content is specifically tailored to children and young adults and GIs that are looking to not be recruited and want an answer for the overt militarization of our population. So we are there doing political education. We are there doing organizing. We're there playing video games. We are there building community and developing what the military utilizes as parasocial relationships, one-way mass media relationships, where a false psychological concept is instilled in the viewer that there's a relationship, an actual give and take relationship, is what the military and these platforms utilize. So we get to do that as well, except diffuse and demilitarize and push back to counter recruitment against another generation of veterans ever stepping into service. My goal is to not have another child put on a pair of combat boots like I did, and many of us in this room did. And we do that by creating content and a community for them to participate in and have alternatives. So with that, we're a little over, I'll go back to this. Back when the Army first went and opened their Twitch platform. Some brave souls went into their chat while they were live streaming and started asking about the U.S. military's war crime history. And the Army started banning the people that were coming in and doing that. Well, it turns out that's a violation of the First Amendment, and they were forced to unban everybody. So we know that digital direct action does work. The Army had to take down its Twitch page for a long time. It temporarily stopped the esports program while it retooled, reformatted, and had to start abiding by laws and regulations. So we have seen digital direct actions work. Yes, the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps all came back. Air Force also. British Royal Navy and British Royal Air Force both also have esports teams. Just about every military around the world has esports teams and is recruiting in this manner. Nobody so much as the United States military, though, largely linked because of the military budget. So there's been actual successes historically in doing digital direct action against the military in this regard. AOC in 2020 had legislation put forward banning the military from participating in recruiting on Twitch specifically. That legislation did not go through, but there is legislative precedent that was set, that there is effort, there is support for this in the halls of politics as well. It's not all bad in these digital spaces. And I mentioned GI resistance as well. We see that the military members, GIs, people in uniform, that that their military is actually completely failing their mental health or the other aspects. We all know that about 22 veterans a day kill themselves or take their own lives. And online digital spaces, these online spaces have also been used to save lives. And that's another facet of what we're doing in Gamers for Peace and building a community of solidarity for young veterans that have gone through this recruitment process, that have participated in the modern era of warfare, and that really need help where the military and the infrastructure for young veterans is really failing them. So with that, Gamers for Peace is a little over a year old as a Discord server, and I believe we're coming up on the anniversary of our first live stream broadcast. We stream about 5 days a week for the last year, producing about 15 to 20 hours of content per week, all live broadcasted Monday through Friday. We have been over the last month put on a short hiatus while we're retooling and resetting up our next era of programming. And while our community comes together in light of recent events and does some other work within our spaces as well. We've live streamed our content. We've live streamed direct actions on boots on ground direct actions that we participated in. When I first came into Gamers for Peace, I got to participate in the Leave No One Behind mural being put up, the Deported Veterans Advocacy Project's Leave No One Behind mural project. I got to be at a presentation and a press conference for that and live streamed to the Gamers for Peace platform. Just a few weeks ago, I participated and live streamed from the Occupy Biden movement, which is a movement that Ellen is at also, and has seen and been part of those live streams where we occupied the area outside Joe Biden's Delaware mansion, Wilmington mansion, for a week originally in the first Occupy Biden, and then culminated in an action marching our way to his front gate, where we were stopped and testified there. And that was live streamed along with the speakers and presenters there. Occupy Biden 2, which was actually just a month ago-ish, month and a something about that, was a weekend-long occupation, a 3-day occupation that occurred over a weekend, culminating in another march rally to the door. And again, we live streamed that. Myself and Ellen were both there for that again. So we do actions like that. Gamers for Peace also attends gaming conventions. In December, 15 Gamers for Peace members from around the country travel to my home here in Philadelphia to participate in PAX Unplugged, which is one of the nation's largest board gaming conventions. Took me a second. My mind just went blank for a moment. The PAX Unplugged is a board gaming convention, occurs in Philadelphia every year. This was the first year since the pandemic that it's been back. The U.S. military isn't just in video gaming spaces directly online. They are also in video game and board gaming spaces in person. Instead of going to a school where they only have access to kids that are in a space where they don't want to deal with an adult and are adverse to being recruited, they're occupying these gaming conventions and being boots on ground, shaking hands, kissing hands, shaking babies, while playing the games and vendoring and competing in these tournaments. It's not confined just to video games and Call of Duty style tournaments. We're talking about board gaming conventions where they're playing Magic the Gathering and they're playing Warhammer 40K. If anybody's like myself that plays tabletop warfare, war miniature games and knows what 40K or Warhammer is, the Army has an internationally ranked esports team that competes at major events around the world, directly recruiting kids in these gaming spaces, and they're not even good. So we had 15 members of Gamers for Peace travel to Philadelphia at the beginning of December to participate in this 4-day long event. It went amazingly well. Built community, did direct outreach and developed relationships with the gaming community at large, including game developers and people that wholeheartedly support our mission. We actually just a few weeks ago traveled, a few of us were able to attend Genghis Khan, which is in Colorado. It's another gaming, smaller localized gaming convention where we got to do our own handshaking and baby kissing, along with developing those relationships in a community of game developers that want to create anti-war games and are looking and really appreciate the message that we're putting out there. So Gamers for Peace is designed from the ground up as a community-led initiative. We are a group of young veterans, allies, accomplices, associates that are inclusive. The demographic, our population is largely made up of an equitable split of femme-presenting individuals, LGBTQ people, excuse me, and BIPOC veterans and associate members. And we are growing. We aren't just a community for military-aged individuals. We're a community directly for the children that we're preventing the recruitment of. So when a child, we have mentorship and leadership development programs. We are developing internships and scholarships. We are an educational place that is safe for children to evade and avoid the conscription into the United States military. Bubble tea is not the best thing to drink when parched. So built from the ground up as this safe, inclusive community space, we pride ourselves on being consensus-led and community-driven. Our volunteers put in a lot of work every week to make those 20 hours of content, with volunteer hours being well into the 10s and 20s amount of individual hours per person put in to make our content and our program what it is to this day. As far as what we do currently, we have a couple campaigns ongoing. The first campaign that we have ongoing, and the first way that you can actually help out Gamers for Peace as a whole and get involved in this space is with our Twitch ad opt-out campaign. Twitch, or the platform that we primarily use, allows the military to advertise on their content creator pages. So, and we as content creators have zero control over the advertisements that are put on our page. So the first thing that we have going is a campaign. It's a coalition campaign where we're building efforts for content creators to be able to opt out of having the military show ads on their pages. We have about 150 upvotes on the petition, and I have a slew of links that I will drop at the end of this to give you the link so that you can go upvote that petition and help Gamers for Peace right now with a very immediate, easy action. upvoting and leaving a comment on that helps get Twitch's attention so that we can place demands. And it also shows and helps us build a coalition of other content creators that are like-minded and want to support the efforts of the anti-war movement. That is the first current and currently ongoing, I should actually say, that is the second campaign of Gamers for Peace, but it is the current one that is ongoing right now. The first campaign that I would be remiss if I didn't actually talk about was one that I got thrown into like day 3 of being in the space as a VFP digital organizer, and that was the Deplatform 6 Days campaign. That campaign was in coalition effort with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, to deplatform or prevent the game known as 6 Days in Fallujah from being made. CARE has designated this game. I see you nodding your head, Ellen. I appreciate you doing that so much. CARE has designated this game as an Arab murder simulator. It is designed and marketed as a hyper-realistic gamified version of the events of the Second Battle of Fallujah, in which the United States committed multiple war crimes using white phosphorus, depleted uranium rounds against civilian population in this space. I was deployed to Fallujah after Operation Al-Fajr or Phantom Fury, which is the Second Battle of Fallujah, and being there and seeing that, and then the idea, the concept of somebody making a game about this that is a procedurally generated game that simulates the United States Marine Corps occupying and moving through this civilian or conducting military operations in urban terrain, which is just a fancy way of saying occupying a civilian space and wreaking devastation on a population, an innocent population. The idea of that being turned into a game was something that got me fired up and the entire community fired up. That campaign, in association with the efforts of the gaming industry at large, providing pushback and covering the production of this game, was successfully delayed for 1 year. The game was supposed to come out Q4 of 2021, and it was delayed to Q4 of 2022. This is an ongoing campaign that we are still working on, and we still want this. We don't want this game to come out. We understand that we might not be able to make it so it never sees the light of day, but making it so that it's not carried on Microsoft, Sony, and Steam, which are the 3 biggest online digital game retailers. Making sure those companies do not platform this game is the goal of that campaign. And that's a near and dear one to a lot of us in the community, including myself. Another way that you can help and get involved with Gamers for Peace: watch our live streams. I know we're on a bit of a hiatus right now, and we're coming back strong in the next couple of weeks. But when we go live, or if you can't catch us live, coming back in and watching our streams later at a time that's a little bit more convenient for you is extremely helpful. Catching us live in particular allows you to participate in chat, which helps the algorithm. Every viewer that comes in helps the algorithm. Just by putting us on your TV or computer and ignoring us and having it running in the background, you are helping us get in front of kids more, because it improves our place in the algorithm. We are more likely to pop up in search results for kids that are looking for the games that we are playing at the time, or they're having the conversations that we're having at the time. So whenever we go live, if you were just able to tune in, that is a huge help to us. You can also follow and subscribe. Following is how you get those alerts. Subscribing is a membership. It's a subscription that goes directly to Veterans for Peace to help fund Gamers for Peace. Subscribing directly through the Twitch website is a way that absolutely helps us. Yeah, Garrett, we do recruit about a dozen members each convention that Gamers for Peace attends. Between the Genghis Khan convention and podcasts that myself and one of our other community members were featured on, I think we saw about 50 to 60 brand new community members within 3 days of those 2 events occurring, which that's a big number for people to be coming in and actively participating and engaging in the space. And so every convention we go to and everything that we do is having results. And you participating and watching our streams, following and subscribing is another way that helps us grow faster and faster. The other way that you can help is just be part of the community. I'll drop the link to our Twitch channel, but I'll also drop the link to our Discord in a moment. Our Discord is our chat server. In fact, I have it right here to give you a look. So Discord is our chat server. Right there, you can see Jim Wolgamuth, who I bet most of you know, dropping the Veterans for Peace radio broadcast link so that our community live hears it. Sova is involved in the Gamers for Peace space, helping veterans, young veterans with their benefits, or help putting young veterans that are in the Gamers for Peace space in touch with the efforts of Sova. CCMP is in here. And there's an entire community in this space that participates not just in facilitating and organizing the joy of, or facilitating and organizing our counter-recruitment efforts, but also engaged in revolutionary joy and celebration together, where we come together, have fun, and actually act as a family together. This is a wonderful space. I pull this up so I can give you a quick overview of it, which I'll just to show you it. There are channels here with GFP announcements, VFP announcements. We have a community support group where people come in and talk about the things that are affecting that day. Mutual aid here, where there are calls for assisting LGBTQ and Black Ukrainian refugees, along with other ways to assist and help veterans from around the country and around the world. Our live stream announcements, calendar, post-show chat. Here's some of our efforts, which is counter-recruitment, and where we discuss efforts from around the world doing counter-recruitment. We go down the list: Deported Veterans Advocacy Program, Veterans for Black Lives, Save Our VA, Climate Crisis and Militarism Project, Nuclear Proliferation, which is actually the Nuclear Abolishment Group. I need to rename that, actually. The games that people participate in. Currently, we have a community of server insights aren't enabled right this second. We have a community in the Discord of about 400 people now, I believe, or right around that number.
392.
392. If 8 people join right now, I'll celebrate, because that puts us at 400. You, Tarek, can be our 400th member. So join the Discord. I will drop that link in there in just a moment. Down in chat in just a moment. Do that in a second. So 392 members currently in the Discord. Garrett just dropped that link. Thank you so much. We also have about 300 on our Twitch channel followers currently, with a handful of subscribers. Let me see. I completely just lied and don't even know my own numbers when it comes to our Gamers for Peace channel. We have 533 current followers on our Gamers for Peace Twitch channel. And that is people that get alerts whenever we go live. We average between 12 and 20 people when we are live that are viewing. And we see huge amounts of people that catch our videos the day after and watch our content after the fact that can't catch us live. So our numbers are good. And for being less than a year, a lot of us come together as a volunteer-based group of people that are holding down, going to college, going to school, holding down our families, young families, and working full-time jobs that are trying to create 20 hours of content a week, do the work to be boots on ground at national conventions, create flyers, create content, do the social media side of things. We have a community that is very dedicated to doing this, and we couldn't be happier that we have 400 members in our Discord and 500 in our Twitch channel that are engaged with us. So we would love to have you in there as well. Another way that you can help out is by handing out our materials. I'll pull here. So we have the Gamers for Peace website right here. This is the Take Action page of the Veterans for Peace website, where you can find out a little bit more information and our exact methodology for how we do counter recruitment. I didn't really get in too much into that, talking about the 4 channels of change. And I also haven't completely delved into our relationship with the extremism in gaming research network. I haven't completely jumped into that because I have been talking for a while, and I do want to open this up to more of a conversation and have some questions in my way. We are working with a coalition of researchers that are doing work to help diffuse the pipeline to violent extremism that we see in gaming spaces, where Kyle Rittenhouses are groomed and developed by ISIS and 3%ers or Oath Keepers or Proud Boys or neo-Nazi groups. So we have 4 channels of change. We are developing our own esports teams that are rocking this gear, that are competing directly against the military in these tournaments. We're working on that. We have a mentorship and leadership development program where we do assistance for kids that are facing the economic draft, help them get out of that, show them alternatives to being recruited and serving in the military. We have our Twitch channel, which I've talked about a good bit, which is our political education and main broadcasting method. And then I'm blanking. And then direct action, which I also mentioned, which is the boots on ground stuff at conventions that we're doing, the stuff at Occupy Biden and other organizing efforts with War Industry Resistors Network. Creech, doing the shutdown Creech last year was another highlight that I got to do and live streamed from. And direct actions such as that Twitch military ad opt-out campaign that I mentioned already. So those are our 4 channels of change. You can read about that here on this website. Another link that I'll drop down there. Garett mentions our Mrs. Day TV, where we broadcasted 11 hours of content, did a marathon stream covering chapters around the country, doing their Armistice Day actions, vigils, and participations. Where we went live to people on the street. We covered our own content as our Armistice Day. We had interviews and panels where we made 11 hours of content, and it flew by, and it was an extreme success. And we're going to be doing that again this year. And we're in the middle of developing that program for the foreseeable future. You can donate to Gamers for Peace. Another link. This is a link that you can help direct donations to Gamers for Peace, to earmark them to help support the community, to get us to more conventions, to help get some of more equipment for people that want to be content creators but are limited by their funds to be able to have the computer that's required to do the streaming, or to have the internet that they need to be able to do the streaming, because internet connection is an important thing and gets pricey when we start looking at getting into these different aspects. Like I said, we have content creators in the community that are chomping at the bit to be more involved, and there are limitations or technology and their ability to meet those needs. This is the Twitch military ad opt-out campaign, which I spoke about. This is where you just literally go to this website. I will drop the link. You hit vote, and you create a Twitch account, and you have voted and helped us out, help this campaign remove military ads from this platform. And this is our Twitch page, and I'll leave that there. Oh, one last thing. The other and the final thing that you can do is in the Veterans for Peace store, there's a Gamers for Peace section where there's a list of swag, wonderful merchandise. And the most important merchandise that's in there is this Gamers for Peace organizer bundle. It contains our flyers, stickers, and business cards with links directly to all the things I've been talking about this evening. We are constantly updating this with the materials that support our active ongoing campaigns. Take these to your local college campuses, take them to your high schools, hand them out. If you see somebody that's gaming, if you have a family member that plays video games or has a child in their life that's in the pipeline for being recruited, hand them a flyer, hand them a sticker, hand them one of the cards. These have QR codes and links directly to every single thing I've been talking about this evening. And then if you really want to be fancy, you can get yourself a cool Gamers for Peace hoodie and rep it out there. We have an entire esports merchandise line of gear that is our gaming jerseys. We have a baseball jersey style jersey, more traditional gaming style jerseys, hoodies and flags, track jackets, and some other cool stuff. This is being updated. And if you wanted to rep Gamers for Peace out and about, that's another way that you could help support us. And so with that, I'm going to toss it back to Garett. I have literally beat a dead horse for like the last 30 minutes. I appreciate you all listening to me as I talk fast, and I know I do. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
All right, Susan, how are we doing on time, and what more do we need to do here?
It's thank you both for coming and participating. I guess my question is, I know you all have done ads against recruiting. Do you have anything you could kind of show as an example? And thank you for all the information. There was something that we saw at a board meeting, Garett, Chris.
It might have been a trailer.
Okay.
I'll let Chris come up with the trailer. Maybe you could come up with a good trailer, either an ad slam or a general GFP trailer. We have a lot of programs. One of the things that we do is called Ad Slam, which started off with us just watching military ads and like,
Right.
4 or 5 of us making fun of them and tearing them apart. If you ever seen, Mystery Science 3000, where the hecklers are in the front row silhouetted and making fun of some old classic horror movie or sci-fi movie, it's a lot like that. And that is expanded into us making fun of military movies, bro vets that come out of the military and launch military brands of coffee or beer based off their, just kind of war culture crap. And we like to tear that apart and just kind of make fun of it a little bit. So just show that anti-militarism culture is also very cool. And these people are easy targets. Chris, you got anything yet? Or are you still looking at stuff?
Yep, I got something up. I just need to adjust audio. Give me one moment.
Yeah. We've created some short, Jules did a lot of work and kind of editing some of these videos down to some digestible chunks, and maybe we could show one of those.
Yeah, so the first one I'm pulling up is just this is a clip. It's a 2-minute long clip from one of our Ad Slam episodes. This episode, Plantifa, or Katie, is our host of the Ad Slam show. Ad Slam is the show that Garett was just mentioning. It occurs every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we tear apart military propaganda, whether that's recruitment videos or recruitment commercials or bro vets or movies and different things. The episode that I'm about to show you right now is we're having a discussion and actually highlighting, going through a lot of the actual live streamers of the Army esports teams. We were going through their content and talking about it. This is just a 2-minute clip. It's probably not one of our best clips, but it gives you a good idea of what you would see us talking about on a Friday. Plantifa is Katie. That is our host. Haas Delgado is another community member who runs tech for this show normally. Myself and another veteran out of Texas named Yarby, who's been a long time community member and has been on shows, and he's an extremely funny comedian. So we're having a discussion and we're watching some videos of Army recruiters playing video games while they're talking to kids. This is a recording of them doing their actual recruitment job. So let me know if everybody can hear this.
I'm also still like, I would rather Congress step in, like AOC and stuff, like how she's doing, and being like, we need to stop this recruiting while they're young.
Yeah.
Like it, just even saying it, like it's just bad, Like,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Actually, that's a perfect segue to what I want to talk about next, because we have been planning for a while, and finally have gotten to a point where we would like to send internet traffic over to it. We have a campaign to allow Twitch streamers to opt out of military ads, because currently you can't choose what ads show up on your channel. So if you're a streamer that say you have a pretty young audience or an impressionable audience, or you just don't want that crap on your channel, you can't say, no, I do not want military ads, or no, I don't want alcohol ads or something like that. You don't have that choice. Twitch chooses that for you. And I would rather some Twitch users or streamers having the ability to just not have the military ads on their channel, because we can talk to a bunch of Twitch streamers that I think would get on board with that. And so I wrote a thing to Twitch Voice, I think it's called. It's a what do you call that? It's like the suggestion forum.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Did they?
Yeah.
Twitch sent out like that. What is it? That questionnaire thing too about that.
Yes.
Like, how can we make this better?
Right. And they, to their credit, they do typically respond to the ones that get a decent amount of votes for it.
I'll pause that one because it's not showing too much action, but you can see right here on screen the video that you were watching of the gameplay. That game is Halo, by the way. It's a brand new game. The most recent national tournament, or the first tournament that occurred, was sponsored completely by the Marine Corps. The award ceremony for that tournament was the handing of chrome-plated dog tags to the winning team of the tournament by a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, with Marine Corps imagery all over the place. And that was live broadcasted. So this is the four of us watching Army recruiter. You can see the I'm not sure if you can see my mouse cursor in my display currently, but if you can see my mouse cursor, I am circling the face of the recruiter that is here, that is playing this game. This person is playing this game and talking to children. And this is a recording of them doing it because we didn't catch them live doing this one. We have other content that I will find more of. We have the Shun Top Gun episode, which is our most recent ad slam, where Rep Ludog, who is another Veterans for Peace board member,
reprimanded at times for reckless maneuvers, some even violating,
is with us, and Pacifist War vet Jules, the membership coordinator for Gamers for Veterans for Peace, that many of you are familiar with, are all talking about Top Gun, the relationship between the military entertainment complex and how it has control. The military has control of Hollywood scripts and production, where we are talking about and actually pointing out those things about the propaganda that is seen in a lot of modern day movies. I see your question, Jim. The Garett's response. Yeah, so we've seen, out of those 400 members that we have inside the Discord, we've seen a conversion about greater than 10% conversion of that number into new Veterans for Peace members. And we haven't been pushing that nearly as hard because we want people to come into the community, be inclusive, and come into Veterans for Peace of their own, and being interested in participating in the grander efforts of things. We do see associate members and veteran members in this space becoming Veterans for Peace members and participating in Veterans for Peace at large, but primarily operating inside the Gamers for Peace space because we are not geolocated. We are members from around the nation and around the world. We are international in scope, with members from Slovakia. We have a child, I believe a 15-year-old that's from one of the Slavic nations, that is nearby Ukraine, but not Ukraine. We have members from Australia, Britain, and all around the world. Yeah, Tom, the Pentagon movie script control goes way, way back, all the way back. In fact, our presentation at VFP's national convention, after we'd been around for all of 4 months as a Gamers for Peace initiative, our presentation talked about, I think it's Wings is the first movie during World War II where the Army, or the Air Force put, or Army Air Corps at the time, put an entire fleet of aircrafts and thousands of people on the ground for that movie's production, and had control of that script. Nick, how do we attract people to our programs? Largely, we rely on word of mouth and handing out those that organizer bundle material, attending those gaming conventions where we're shaking hands with people, actually talking with them and playing games with them. We are also pulling people into our programs, and more so than our programs, but more importantly, we are pulling people into our community by being in the places that they're at. It's not about them enticing people to join us. It's about being there where they are and helping influence their community and their activity spaces and allowing them to come to us because they want to be with us, because they hear us talk about anti-war stuff or push back on toxic misogyny, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia. We push back actively on those spaces because that's part of the extremism recruitment pipeline that occurs in gaming spaces. So we are actively playing games and participating in the community where children and people are. And then they come into our community and they start participating that way and coming into our live streams and whatnot. Gamers for Peace is an organizing effort. Our effort isn't just to get people to watch our content and listen to us and do education. Our effort is to actually do actionable things, to organize for actionable solutions, to put people doing civil disobedience, to change laws, to put people in the street for revolutionary change in the world, to bring about the actual conditions that bring peace to this planet, to address the cultures that proliferate militarization, and to express the concerns and develop community both online, digitally, and in our local communities with our kids and community members as well. So it's about being present and playing games. So that's the work we're doing. Revolutionary joy through change. Revolutionary change through gaming joy is what we're doing.
Could you talk for a moment about how we can both organize on the ground and work in the games? How do you envision that? You know, because right in New York, we have a lot of in-person organizing that's starting up again. So how do you envision that, and how can we move our work forward, both online, virtually, and on the ground?
So I'm dropping links right now. The first two are to the Veterans for Peace website, the Gamers for Peace page on the Veterans for Peace website, and the Gamers for Peace donation page. There's the Twitch ad opt-out campaign. If you click that link, it will take you to this page where you can upvote and sign the petition. You can see where we have other people putting comments in support of this. We're at 158. The goal is 1,000. So first thing you can do is whenever you talk to somebody, try to get them to come upvote this. That's the very first thing. The goal of 1,000 is the average at which Twitch as a platform, as a company, will respond to these feedback petitions. So the first step for this campaign, for us to make it so that no military ad is shown on Gamers for Peace channel, is to get this number to 1,000 people. I just dropped the link right there. That's that bit.ly link, Twitch military ad opt-out. Share that link far and wide. Everybody in here, I hope to see you all go upvote this and leave a comment and show your support for that. That's the very first thing that you can do, and probably the most important for one of the actions that is currently ongoing. The next thing that you can do is help improve those. Let's see this. Boom. Oh, I love it. I love it. We got Ellen already coming in strong. All right, Ellen's showing some strong leadership there, and I really appreciate it. The next thing you can do is go to our Gamers for Peace Twitch channel. The Twitch channel is this one where you can actually see our content. Bear with me a second. Just going to this website, creating an account, which you have to create a Twitch account in order to do that upvote on that opt-out campaign. Go there first. All right, action. Upvote us, create an account, and then upvote us. Then come over to this page, our actual page, and hit the heart icon to follow us. That'll increase our number of followers, which helps the algorithm put us in front of more people. We want thousands of followers, so we absolutely need you in here. And then giving people that link by word of mouth is also how we hope to grow. You can also then, right next to it, this purple button normally says subscribe. You can subscribe. I think so. If you are an Amazon Prime member, you get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel of your choice per month. It's free. It's included in your Prime membership. So if you have, all you have to do is go to our Twitch page and hit subscribe and use your Prime membership subscription. And that actually, for free, no money out of your pocket, gives money directly to Gamers for Peace. Every subscription, a normal subscription, is about $5, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's $5. Yeah, it's $4.99 a month for a subscription to our channel. That money goes to us. A portion of it goes to Twitch, but that money goes to Veterans for Peace, which then comes into the Gamers for Peace and helps fund us doing anything at all. If you really want to support us, subscribe. Those subscriptions help us in an algorithm in a separate way from the following. So following and subscribing helps us in 2 different ways get in front of more people. Okay. So that's the I guess the second thing you can do, right? Go to the Twitch ad opt out, upvote that petition, go to our Twitch channel, follow and subscribe. The next thing that you can do, get the Gamers for Peace organizer bundle and hand those out. And just hand them out. Everybody you see, go to college campuses and like ask where the esports team meets, and then put these on college campus billboards or the cork boards where the people put announcements. Hang these flyers up, these business cards, put the stickers in bathrooms. It doesn't matter. Sticker praxis, right? Put our stuff every place. It all has, most of it has QR codes on it. So anybody that sees it can just scan a QR code and get put directly in the pipeline of seeing us and participating in our community. We cultivate this material and we are constantly updating it and making it current to what our efforts are, our language, and it's all community built and made. We ship that out. There's an entire bundle of 2 different kinds of flyers there, 2 different kinds of stickers, and a whole bundle of cards. Dave Logston out of Minneapolis is a monster at walking on the college campuses and just shotgunning like our cards every place. And we have gotten so many people just joining Gamers for Peace, being like, hey, some old guy handed me this card and talked about it. Yep. I'll pull up the search in the Discord where somebody's like, some old guy handed this to me. I don't know who they were, but this is actually really fucking badass. And they've been members for months now at this point and are active in this space. So,
Susan, I just, like things like 8chan have manifested movements and cults like QAnon, and in a way, fascists are out organizing like radicals in the peace movement folks. And when there's an obvious injustice, people take to the streets, and that's organic and real. But in a way, like the right is out organizing us on a digital platform because they're creating these. They could create all sorts of wacky shit and get people motivated to come out and organize, and they manifest in person in a strong degree. That's why you have things like J6 happening, right? And if we could take over these spaces or use these spaces on our own, there's a good way that we could actually build momentum and have huge mobilizations manifest from the digital space coming into like the physical space, because this is where folks are collected and organizing. When I first got back from Iraq, we'd go do an event or we'd go do a meeting, and later on we'd end up in somebody's backyard, like doing a potluck, like dinner, throwing around the beers and like having conversations. And somebody would have a guitar, and that was the space that we hung out with, to recreate and build community. We're building a similar community online in Discord, right? We're doing actions digitally, and we're coming together on Discord and talking about it and having that community space in our Discord area. So if you think of it like that, it's easy to manifest that eventually into a physical space, right? The only problem right now is, even though there's 400 of us, we're so dispersed geographically across the world, because we have, like Chris was saying, we have members in like Slavic countries, like participating in our chats and discussions. So when we get big enough, even if your New York City chapter has a couple of people in that space looking out for people that are in the New York area, which I know we've got to have handfuls, you could be recruiting people, young veterans, new associate members, into your chapter just by being on the Discord space and like having an ear out and asking every once in a while, hey, is anybody in the New York area? We have a New York chapter. We're having a meeting in 2 days. Like, you should show up, and here's the link. If we had all our chapters in the space, then they'd be interacting with these young folks and potential possible members, and possibly members that are already joined Veterans for Peace and are in New York and haven't come to a chapter meeting. So, there's good ways, I think, to utilize the online digital space and get it to manifest in the physical space.
Absolutely. So just bear with me. I'm thinking, there are programs of going into schools and talking with students, and I hear the spaces you're going into. What I'm grappling with in terms of organizing is how can we help each other? We go to Times Square, there's a lot of tourists there, or we go to Battery Park, lots of tourists. You're not going to get those tourists right in the digital spaces. So how can we kind of reinforce the different types of organizing that's going on? That's kind of my question.
So when you're going into schools, these materials are universal. Mm-hmm. When a kid is on the school bus going to school, they are playing Minecraft on their cell phone. When they're in class, they are ignoring the teacher and playing Pokemon on their Switch. When they're at lunch, they are playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. When they are after school programs, they are doing robotics and Minecraft and Roblox. So and that's not just children that are in elementary school, middle school, and high school. That's also college kids. That is also the parent that is dragging their kid through Times Square that actively has a Switch in their hand playing games. The materials are universal. So going into a school with Gamers for Peace stuff is the counter-recruitment. That is the messaging that is going to be effective with those children at the time, because they're already in school in a place they are disregarding, for the most part, any adult interaction, just trying to survive. Being in their hobby and activity space after the fact, so that when they put away the Switch and they have the card, the QR code for the Discord or for the Twitch, and they scan that and then see that we are playing Minecraft, they are more likely to engage with us and stay in this community. So these materials and the materials that we put out and the messaging that we do puts them into the pipeline and does your counter recruitment. Like, just handing this out is where the success lies in counter recruitment, especially because, I mean, I'm 36. I'm one of the older people inside the Discord. There's a few older veteran members inside, Veterans for Peace members inside the space, but I'm one of the older members of the community, and so like we want a 20-year-old that is just getting out of the military to be the one that's engaging with a child, because they're closer generationally. I don't even appeal to a 16-year-old to speak to. I don't. I end up appealing to people that are in service, doing GI resistance, or trying to get out. That are conscious objectors that are going through, that relate to my experience as another veteran. But when they're getting out and they're under the age of 24, I got out from my 6 years at 24. You think about the 4-year average enlistment time. That means somebody's getting out of the military around the age of 22 if they went in at 18. At 22, they are speaking the same language, playing the same game, and have the same mentality as most 16-year-olds, and are speaking from experience. So So we don't have to be the ones that are doing the primary counter recruit. We just need to provide the space for them that are already educated on hating the military to have reinforcement, positive behavior modeled, and a community that makes it safe for them to speak out against it, because a lot of gaming spaces aren't safe. Our primary effort is to be a safe, inclusive space for trans, LGBT, BIPOC individuals, women presenting people to come into this space, because Gamergate directly targeted them. I mean, Gamergate lines can be drawn from what Gamergate was, which was a massive backlash of the gaming industry against women content creators and reporters and women in the gaming space, and the whole Me Too as a movement. Gamergate was a backlash against that, but Gamergate draws a direct line to military recruitment practices because of how it facilitated the culture for military to do recruitment in these spaces. So we see that there's a pipeline. The UN Office on Counterterrorism did a couple months ago, did a panel presentation on violent extremism in gaming adjacent spaces, was the title of the panel, and it was amazing. But they actually directly said that the modern day violent extremism recruitment issues that we are facing with into neo-Nazi groups and ISIS and terrorist organizations, the escalation to violent extremism, is because of the recruitment practices of the military. You think about 7%, only 7% of recruitable or of kids are recruitable. So 93% of people, of children that a recruiter touches and executes grooming psychological practices, does recruitment practices, 93% of them aren't eligible for military service. That 93% has still had an adult, multiple adults in their life, enforce military glorification, tell them their only option to avoid the economic draft is providing service, and put the idea that, and ask them the question, would you kill for a Camaro and would you kill for healthcare, in these kids' heads already. Many of these kids don't want that, already don't want it. And then if they do, they are rejected from the military because they don't meet qualifications. And that makes them primed for neo-Nazi groups to educate, to continue their grooming and produce young oath keepers and young militia members. So the best recruitment tool is getting them into the space. It doesn't matter that you're engaging with them in school or in the mall. Where they're actually being recruited into the military is in their digital presence, in the digital world. Everything is done through that digital presence. And even when you're operating in meet space face to face, the first thing they're going to do when they leave that conversation is check your Facebook, check your Twitter, check and go to those links that you gave them, because that's where they spend the moments in between the face-to-face time, which typically, especially in the post-pandemic world, amounts to more time online in that virtual space than it does in school or in online, in face-to-face retail centers or Times Square even. So the biggest thing you can do is literally just put people into the Gamers for Peace space as the counter recruitment effort.
Thank you. That's terrific. I mean, what I see then is that we should carry those cards with us when we go to demonstrations. Got it. Okay. Thank you. Are there other questions? How many cards, Garrett? Talk to us. You know, we've been talking about for a long time about carrying something small that we can hand out. So the cards, I mean, I hear that. We can hand them out to people who go by.
And I mean, you could do creative things too.
Yeah.
You know, when you project images in movies up on walls, you know, project a video game and ad slam it, you know, with some microphones and like just across from a high school, you know, there's fun things you can do, right, you know, to get in the space and culture jam and, you know, mess things up for folks. Talk to the kids about, you know, who their least favorite teacher is, and explain that's what the drill instructor is, but has the power to make you do push-ups, you know, like, you know, I mean, we could still integrate like all the stuff we're doing into a physical space. And the folks in the Discord, you know, would love to get into a physical high school. Right now, it's very difficult to do that because of COVID precautions. Eventually, it's going to open up again, and we're going to have this massive community of people ready to go. And if there's 2 or 3 of them in a local community that could hit a handful of high schools, then they will. I'm sure of it.
We went out when we were in Albuquerque last year for the organizer retreat, the staff and organizer retreat. A bunch of us took our first cards and the first flyers that we did, the first versions of them, and hit 4 different colleges like that were within 5 miles of the hotel we were staying at, and handed them directly to the esports team, pinned them up in their gaming lounge and computer lounge, put them in every community board that was on the campus that we could find. And we did that within an hour of the decision to do that. We hit these 4 campuses, and that right there brought people in. Dave Logston, every opportunity he gets, he's like, I need more cards. I need more cards. Dave Logston has probably handed out 300 cards easily, ordered them 50 at a time. Like, he just keeps coming back going, I need more stickers. I need more cards and more people. And we have Minnesota and Minneapolis has such a large presence in our community because he's out there just handing people this information and getting them into our space. And we as young post 9/11 vets, GWAT vets, and we have mental health therapists, we have educators, we have school librarians, we have teachers, we have volunteers that run the gamut of trained people that are there to do counter recruitment work at various levels and offer various opportunities. That is much more than just going, hey, the military's bad, you shouldn't join it. Like, so just hand out our stuff and get people into the space is how you can support us. Donate, follow, subscribe, help uplift our social media efforts. Whenever you see us posting something as Gamers for Peace on the VFP national account, uplift that, make sure you share it, put it out there, and help us go viral eventually. I mean, Twitch is grows faster than Netflix. There are more Twitch viewers and more hours of content viewed on Twitch by itself than Netflix has, than Disney Plus has, than Hulu has. All the platforms that we consume our media on now, kids younger than myself aren't there. They are on YouTube Live and Twitch, and primarily Twitch for their gaming. This is the fastest growing entertainment sector and place that people spend their time. And so that's why we really believe that being outside of the physical space is more likely to have real effect on people's outcomes of going into the military.
Thank you. There any questions? Ellen, go ahead.
It's not a question, it's a piece of information, which is still true. Back in 2008, representing primarily Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, but also Veterans for Peace, I went to Geneva and attended the US's first report to the body of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. At that time, the US and Somalia had not signed the Convention on the Rights of the Child. At this time, I just looked it up, only the US has not signed the Convention on the Rights of the Child, partly because of the recruiting restriction. It is illegal if you sign that convention to recruit underage youth. However, part of the military's argument, and we heard this in a meeting before the official UN meeting the next day, the military says recruiting is when the young person signs on the dotted line. It has nothing to do with whether we're grooming them online or grooming them in school, whatever. No, that's not recruiting. So they skirt around the laws and they refuse to sign international treaties and on and on. And that's not the only reason they won't sign that convention. There's right-wingers who want to be able to beat their kids too. But part of it is military recruiting.
Ellen, can you please send me that link to that information? Garrett was just saying, I absolutely agree. That's something to float in our community for a future campaign. And like I said previously, AOC did in 2020 had legislation that she put forward that was directly appealing to this, and kind of what Ellen was just talking about. There's just been some recent movement by both a Republican and a Democrat, though their motives are questionable, about the privacy rights of children in online spaces that just got put forward. I forget who did that as well. That's a little bit questionable, but there's absolutely room and precedent set for legislative and political action to be had around the military's presence in these gaming and virtual spaces. Another point of pride is that by depriving the military of gamers and operating in these spaces, we are also depriving the military of being able to wage future warfare. So there is a direct line to not just depriving the military of bodies to be in uniform, but also the capabilities and demilitarizing our cyber infrastructure in these spaces, depriving those resources that enable us to fight wars, period, at all, to have people functioning in these ways.
Thank you. Are there other questions or comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I want to order one of the packs of Gamers for Peace organizer bundle because I'm going to a Science for the People fair at UMass Amherst on April 12th. And I see there's 20 business cards in here. Is there a way to get more than 20? Or do I have to order each time all the other ones too?
If you just want the business cards.
I'm just saying, I want to order this bundle, but if I want more cards than 20, how do I do that?
I think we could get the PDF if you want to just print them off locally. You can go to your local union printer or Kinko's if you need to, and print them off yourself if you like.
Okay, well, I'll just order this and then I'll sort it out.
Okay, you email me.
Yeah,
Nick,
sorry,
if you
Garrett,
email us, we'll get it figured out for you.
Paul, I do see your I see your question. I don't have the number of that bill off the top of my head. I'm dropping a link to an article about it right here. I'm not sure if the bill is specifically in there, and I don't have the answer to the second part of that question. In Gamers for Peace, we've stayed away from the legislative side of things until we built the first year of us being together and coming together. It's built the infrastructure, our platform, and basically the basic tenets of how we operate and what we want to do together as a community. Going forward from here, now we got wheels on the bus, and we're starting to move down the road a little bit more, and really developing the campaigns and following through on the actions, because we have a very solid foundation as a community that provides support for each other and is focused on a mission of countering recruitment in these spaces across the board. One of the hashtags that we use very often is not just fuck war, which is our first hashtag, which we love very dearly, but the second hashtag being not another generation. We do not want to see another generation of veterans. My goal as Veterans for Peace digital organizer is for 20 years from now to no longer have a new veteran be able to join us. Like that is my goal. I do not want to see I don't want another era of American warfare veterans that I have to help get benefits, mental health benefits in 20 years, right? So no more vets, not another generation of vets, not another generation of people traumatized by warfare. So that's one of our big things, and we as a community are very focused on making that a reality.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you both very much. This has been a wonderful session. We've learned a lot. And I look forward to our continued collaboration. I am sure that many of us will be ordering the cards that we can hand out at demonstrations and places where we go and speak and organize and join. Anything else that you'd like to let us know, or questions? I know you've both had a long day, and I really appreciate your coming here and educating us. There may be questions that come up later, so we'll reach out. Right. Terrific. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for listening. Appreciate y'all.
It's been terrific.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you all for having us.
Thank you. We'll